Welcome. I'm Anathea, and I want to welcome you to the class, 5 Must-Know Communication Tips to Create More Peace with Your Partner. I want to thank you for being here with me and listening to this class. You know, you could have chosen many other places to be. I'm sure you're very busy, and you took the time out of your busy schedule to be here with me and learn about better communication. I want you to know that learning about better communication is truly one of the highest forms of education that there is. So I want to honor you and thank you for taking the time to listen and learn about this. Now, you may or may not know me, so I want to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Anathea, and I'm an intimacy educator and author. The name of my book is Empower Yourself by Loving Your Body, The Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Yourself as Sacred. And that's really what all my teachings are about, is you claiming you as beautiful, powerful, and sacred. You can get that book on Amazon if you'd like to purchase it. But it's interesting. People ask me, how did you get into this work? And I say, pain. Pure, unadulterated emotional pain. You know, it was after my husband's death when I was 39 years old, and then after that, a subsequent failed relationship that by the age of 45, I just said I have to find solutions to all these problems and all the deep emotional pain that I'd experienced in these intimate relationships and the deep heartache that it had caused me. Communication, or rather miscommunication, being one of the big problems. You know, my love relationships are where I have experienced the most pain and the most pleasure. And that's probably true for you too. Think about it. Well, after these traumatic relationships that I experienced back in 2005, over 12 years ago, I decided to participate in a 2-year program offered by the Divine Feminine Institute, founded by Caroline Muir and Joan Hartfield. It was that 2-year journey back then that not only transformed my life, but also gave me skills for better relating and better communicating that I still use today, and I love to teach other women. All of this education that I thought out and that I learned, really the blessing of it all gave me the opportunity to truly experience my body as my temple and as sacred. And it's been really profound. And I want the same for you. Ultimately, through all of this, all of these profound teachings that I've been now practicing for years, I know my body. I honor my emotions, and I know how to speak from my heart. And it's not always easy, and it takes a lot of courage. However, it's the path to freedom and to creating more authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling relationships. If you're waiting for your partner to communicate more consciously with you, well, I'm going to tell you, the truth is, unfortunately, you might be waiting a long, long time. If you want more conscious communication in your intimate relationship or in any of your relationships, you need to be the change that you want to see. And learning better communication skills will get you there. So this class is for women who really want to feel heard and understood, who don't want to be called crazy or drama queen or a drama queen for expressing their feelings. And you no longer want to be feeling like you're walking on eggshells. So let's get started. Oh, before I forget though, make sure that you listen all the way through to the end, because tip number 5 really tells the truth of it all in this thing called communication. So make sure you listen to tip number 5. Think about what your challenges are with communication. Do you let your emotions get in the way? Do you let your mind get in the way, making up stories in your head only to find out what you're thinking or what you were thinking wasn't quite true or wasn't even true at all? Maybe you're a yeller, possibly even raging at times to those you dearly love and feeling guilty afterwards, saying things you really didn't mean and wishing you could take those words back. or maybe even trying to justify those words you used, making them really seem bad. But that only makes for more disconnect between the two of you, and I'm sure that's not what you really want. Or maybe you shut down and wall off, giving a silent treatment. Or maybe you've had to suffer from the silent treatment. If you're the one giving the silent treatment or having to receive it, how many days does it last in your household? And think of how damaging that is to your relationship. And are you tired of circle communication? You know, those unresolved conflicts, trying to communicate something to your partner and your partner never seems to get it, more often showing resistance instead and says in their annoying way. We've talked about this so many times. Aren't we done yet? And basically getting nowhere with the situation. That can feel so frustrating. You can really feel stuck. And another common issue is maybe you're afraid to speak your truth for fear you might cause waves. More of a people pleaser, you know, going along to get along, avoiding conflict at all cost. This is very common for women. We've been taught to put up and shut up and put on a nice, happy face. Well, you know, if you're keeping your truth from others, then you'll not feel connected to them. Ultimately, you'll feel more resentment than connection. And that's not what you want, right? Of course not. All of these relationship tactics and ways of communicating, or really not communicating, were handed down to you. It's not your fault. They were gifts from your parents and grandparents and ancestors. These patterns of communication and ways of dealing with conflict are deeply ingrained in your psyche. They were role modeled to you at a very, very young age. So I will tell you, you need support and guidance to practice new patterns of communicating and make them stick. Make them part of your relationship life. And I'll tell you, it is doable and eternally rewarding. You know, when you practice better communication skills, I guarantee you, you will positively affect all of those closest to you. And they don't even need to be practicing this. If you want your child to change or your partner to change, well, you can't make anyone change, but you can change the dance, the interaction between you and another. That's exactly what I teach you to do, because when you change, they have no other choice but to change. And it's really neat. It's super powerful. It's a super powerful thing to witness. And it is really that simple. However, it first starts with you. So the purpose of this class, and by the end of this class, you'll have communication skills you can immediately practice to create more intimacy and closeness in your relationships. And you'll also have an opportunity to get more skills to communicate, to create connection. But we only have a limited time here. And I want to give you as much as I possibly can. And I promise, though, that when I finish, I'll show you how you can get more. My teachings are all about transformation, personal transformation. I can't even speak. Personal transformation. And I can help you because I've helped many, many others. And it's all that is. It's just a matter of you learning these skills and practicing them. And I'm here to help you every step of the way. You don't need to be invisible in your relationships, nor considered a nag or a drama queen. And I can show you how to take back your power. Imagine what it would be like to really feel heard and understood by your partner. Or even totally at peace in your intimate relationship. Imagine feeling completely uninhibited to speak your truth. How would that change your life? What would that be like? How would that feel? Take a moment to really imagine. Can you? Really feeling heard and understood, at peace in your intimate relationship, and uninhibited to speak your truth. The only way you're going to accomplish this is by understanding what it takes to really communicate. And real communication is when you feel connected. So no matter where you're at or who you are with or how much personal development you've done, I know you could still benefit from learning more about how to better communicate in your intimate relationships and all your relationships. There's always more self-awareness you can gain. There's always more ways in which your heart can open. So these are the 5 must-know communication tips to create more peace with your partner. Take back your power by learning how to speak your truth in a loving, compassionate, and beautifully graceful manner. Learning these 5 communication tips or skills today will help free you from unnecessary emotional pain that inevitably comes up in relationship because of the choice of words. Your choice of words, right? So, do you ever ask yourself, does he even care about me? Am I talking to a wall? When are my needs going to be met? The way you communicate will make all the difference in your world, with better choices of words guaranteed. So I want to share with you these really powerful tips because you cannot change another. But let's look at what you can change with your words to change the communication dance between you and those you love. So here are the 5 powerful tips. Make sure you have paper and pen. You don't want to miss this. And remember, listen all the way down to tip number 5. So here's tip number 1. Avoid using or become aware of using the words always and never. You know, when you're upset with your partner or someone close, do you use the word always and never? Let me explain or give you an example here. Statements such as, he never appreciates me, or I'm always the one who looks after everything. Oh, and everything could be another dangerous word if you use it to generalize. For example, when your partner complains, you respond with, everything you say is negative. Phrases such as always, or like she always, or he never, or everything. These are all statements of what will be in a story. You know, the stories you make up in your head. Though you may think that person may always or never do something, it isn't actually true. It isn't reality. Reality is changing from moment to moment. So you may think they're always or never doing something, but they're not. You create your reality, and always and never statements are a way of avoiding being present with those you love. It's a way of avoiding taking responsibility for your part in the situation by putting blame on them or putting them down. By using those words, you're putting your partner into a box and not allowing new possibilities and new behaviors to arise. You know, words are powerful. Listen to the stories you tell yourself when you're upset. These stories aren't who you are. They don't come from your heart, and they don't enhance your relationships. Start noticing when you use this not so evident, yet very destructive way of communicating. Always, never, everything. Stop putting the one you love in a very limited box and way of being. And you'll create more peace in your relationship. All right, number 2 is use the word I instead of you, which will help you gain I awareness. So let me explain this. I feel hurt is quite different from saying, you hurt me. Okay, listen to this again. I feel hurt versus you hurt me. Using I statements, I feel hurt is about how you feel. You hurt me is about blame. There's a big, big difference. And it's a bad habit to you people, okay? Using I statements when communicating is what you want to work towards, what you want to develop. Using I statements instead of you statements is a way to communicate without blame. Authentic and loving communication will use I statements, and it's not selfish, and it doesn't mean you care only about yourself. And also, when you use I statements, it's actually being direct and honest. I statements are a way to take responsibility for how you feel and actually take back your power. For example, I feel hurt. I need more support. I would like time to myself. You're not blaming your partner for your feelings. I statements are factual and non-judgmental. Nobody can take away your reality, and they help you to get more connected to you. They help you to help others know what's going on with you. For example, I need gentleness is an I statement as opposed to saying, you always yell at me. You're always yelling. Instead, say, I need gentleness. Because you're always yelling is a you statement that is blaming and immediately creates defensiveness. Now, I want you to know the word you is, of course, not a negative word. However, when used to victimize, blame, judge, or control, as in the statement, you're mean, you are mean, instead of saying, I feel hurt, your words become an attack that doesn't nurture connection. And becoming aware of this is really important. You know, using you statements is a way of speaking where you place the blame on the other person for causing your feelings. In that phrase, you are mean, you're not taking responsibility for your feelings. From this perspective, you statements are actually more self-centered and selfish than I statements. Heart-centered communication shows vulnerability. And I feel hurt is vulnerable. It's being vulnerable. You are mean or you hurt me is not vulnerability. It's attacking. You need to be willing to be vulnerable if you want true connection and intimacy. So using I versus you in this manner is a small detail that will make a huge difference. So I want to encourage you from today forward, become aware of this simple skill of using I statements when you communicate with others and develop that I awareness. Become aware of when and how you use the word you. Make a conscious effort to not you people, okay? So remember this and say it to your partner. I won't you if you don't you me. You'll have a lot more peace in the relationship. All right. Number 3, slow down. Good communication requires space and time. You know, we're all in such a big hurry. Slow down. Wait to respond. Breathe. Actively listen. And be present with those you love. The best communicators have simply learned how to slow down and be present. Your presence is the greatest gift you can give another that you love. Show them that they matter. Stop what you're doing and really be there with them as they communicate their concern. And look them in the eyes. You know, there's another thing I want to mention, and I've done it, and I'm sure you've done it, once you are comfortable with someone and living with them, you start having conversations across the house, yelling or just talking and expecting them to hear. Then you get frustrated because they aren't listening, or they get frustrated because they can't hear you. Don't try to converse across the house. Go to them and be present with them. Take the time. Start noticing when you're having these across-the-house conversations, okay? It's not loving, compassionate communication. And it doesn't create peace in the household. But something that will help you to be more present with another's communication is actually the next step, and that's step number 4, or tip number 4, which is repeat back what your partner said. Often, we aren't even listening. We aren't even trying to listen or understand. We are chomping at the bit for them to finish so that we can respond, so that we can tell our point of view. Do you know what I'm talking about? Already formulating in your head how you want to respond as they're speaking? This is the worst thing for good communication. It isn't real communication, and definitely not connection the way we often think it is. And most of us, that's really how many of us are actually communicating. But people want to be received. Just like you, people want to feel heard. One of the most powerful communication skills is to clarify what the person just told you. Use this simple phrase in your communication vocabulary. These are the words, what I am hearing you say is, and then repeat back to them what you just heard and understood. Now, you can say it in various ways, but just get that key phrase down. What I'm hearing you say is. You can say things like, well, let me get this clear. I'm not really even sure, but I want to make sure that I understood. What I'm hearing you say is. So however you say it, but that's the key word. What I'm hearing you say is. And then just repeat back what you just heard. You'll actually be surprised when you practice this how often what you understood is not what they meant at all, especially when the two of you are in a conflict. So asking for clarity and repeating back what you heard is really a very powerful practice, but only when it's done with compassion and sincerity and not with technique. So you really need to be sincerely curious and want to understand them, and they'll sense that. So remember these words. This will help you get going on this new pattern. What I'm hearing you say is, okay? And let it work its magic. And the last tip is number 5. Tell the truth. What a concept, right? It's easier said than done. What is your truth? Your truth is shrouded in other people's agenda, or you wanting to keep the peace, or wanting to be accepted. And you may consider yourself a very honest person, but really telling your truth is not always easy. And our culture is filled with white lies because we don't want to hurt somebody. And this disempowers us. This disconnects us from each other. We put on our masks and put on a happy face and go through life. But what would it be like if you had better communication skills? If you could speak your truth without causing major problems? What difference would that make in your life? The truth is you can't avoid conflict. It's part of relationship. It's part of relating. However, you can gain the skills to make them fewer and farther apart and decrease the length of time they last. Like a wave instead of a tornado or a tsunami. And I can teach you how. I also want to mention, by the way, that you statements and always and never statements aren't speaking the truth. These are your perceptions from a very upset point of view, which is a distorted point of view. And, number 5, telling the truth, you're going to get more closely to telling the truth when you use I statements. I statements about how you're feeling in the moment, much closer will get you more closer to your truth. Also, slowing down and being present will help you get closer to your truth. And repeating back what someone said to you so that you can gain more clarity will definitely support you in getting to your truth. So number 5, telling the truth, is really utilizing the other 4 steps or tips. So these are the tips. I hope you take these to heart and give them a good try. I want to urge you to practice, practice, practice. Make the people you love your practice partners. You will have an opportunity every single day, okay? The main part is becoming aware of it. And that is where you will begin to shift the behavior, and your relationships will transform. Notice, really notice when and how you use you, always and never. Just begin with that. So to repeat the tips, number 1, avoid using always and never. Number 2, use I statements instead of you statements. Number 3, slow down. Number 4, repeat back what the other person just said. And number 5, tell the truth. Oh, I'll add a number 6 because I already talked about it. Practice, practice, practice. Make it part of your life. All right. And I'm here to help you every step of the way. So make sure that you click on the link below this audio, because it's a link to my Communicating to Create Connection course. And if you can't find the link for whatever reason, just go to anathea.org/communication. That's ANNATHEA.org/communication. All right. I guarantee you, if you learn this new language, you're going to have more meaningful, fulfilling, peaceful relationships. It's really beautiful. It's been an honor to share this with you. Practice those 5 tips. You'll create more peace with your partner. And I hope to see you really soon in my sacred Zoom room. Namaste.